Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
This town needs an enema.
Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who's afraid of the big black bat?
When Gotham is ashes, you have my permission to die.
Gotham, this is your liberation.
My mother warned me about getting into cars with strange men.
This isn't a car.
20 years in Gotham. How many good guys are left? How many stayed that way? He has the power to wipe out the entire human race.
Tell me, do you bleed? You will.
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
He's a silent guardian. A watchful protector. A dark knight. I'm Batman.
Let the games begin.
Welcome to the Batman on Film podcast. Here are your hosts, Bill Jett Ramey and Rick Shew.
Hey now.
Hey now.
Thanks for listening to Volume 2, Episode 75. Episode 75, boys.
Woo.
Of the Batman on Film podcast, a proud member and the sponsor of the Batman Podcast Network. Check out all the shows there at BatmanPodcastNetwork.com. I am the host of the BOF podcast, and I'm also the founder of the now 19-year-old Batman on Film website, Bill Jett Ramey. With me today is my co-host Rick Shew and a single BOF roundtabler, Ryan Haas. Batman on Film, authoritative, definitive, the damn original. Boys, how we go today?
Doing great. I just got out of physical therapy and I'm going to be sore and miserable, but other than that, life is good.
All right, Ryan, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. Only a couple weeks to go until this baby of mine is going to get here. So I'm on pins and needles.
Let me tell you, they get here. There's nothing you can do about that. And they grow up fast. I mean, Rick saw my spawn this weekend. He's almost as tall as Rick now.
He is. He might actually be. I mean, my God, he's definitely 6 feet.
Oh, yeah, he's over 6.
Yeah, he might be 6'1", because I'm 6'2", and he's
I'm 6 even, so, yeah.
He's catching up with me.
He's like 225 now, and
yeah,
whatever. He weighs more than...
I'm 10 pounds or 11 pounds heavier than he is, and maybe an inch taller. That's kind of crazy.
He weighs more than me. He is taller than me. However, I can still kick his ass. There's no doubt about that. I promise you that right now. Take his ass on the ground in a second. Rick... We had a hell of a time Saturday night. Discuss real quick.
Well, we had our first Wonder Woman watch. We had our first Batman on Film watch party that was not in your neck of the woods, and we tried it out. We put it on the road and brought it to the Big D, and I tell you, it was a smashing success. We had 22 people total, and it was just a lot of fun. Justin, who's unfortunately not able to join us today on the show, he was my house guest. Oh, but let me just say this real fast to everybody. Not to take up the show with this, but my God, what a trooper Justin is. I go to pick him up at the airport at 3:45 at DFW, and he starts texting me. Hey man, they're diverting my flight to San Antonio. They won't land in Dallas because we're having like historic floods, just crazy stuff. So they land him in San Antonio to refuel. All right, so they're going to get him back in the air at 6. Well, then 6 turned to 10. And then when 10 came along, guess what? 10 turned to the next day.
No more flights.
Yeah. No more flight. Well, that they couldn't legally fly anymore was the problem. So then they put him in a hotel, and so then the next morning was supposed to be a 6 o'clock flight. 6 o'clock flight, we're texting at 5 in the morning. That 6 o'clock flight turned to a 7 o'clock flight, which turned to a 7:45 flight. I believe that's correct. I think it changed 3 times that next day. At least changed twice. In that morning, and I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, you're never going to get here. You're just not going to. Finally, I picked him up at like 9:45, 10 o'clock at DFW. Man, what a trooper.
That was a crazy ass story. I mean, just from hell.
Just nuts just to get to Dallas from California. Right. So anyway, we had a great time. And then Eric Holzman, our friend and fan of the show, met him. He came in from New York. Loved that guy. And then, of course, Peter was here. How is he properly pronounce his last name?
I probably pronounced it incorrectly, but Peter Vera?
Vieira. I know that's butchering it. So, but yeah, Peter is a BOF contributor as well, and just a super cool guy. And anyway, the Wonder Woman party was so great. The Cinemark West Plano was so accommodating, and man, it was just a lot of fun. And Ryan, we really genuinely wish you could have been there with us, man.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to Austin in November for Justice League. And, who knows where Aquaman will be. We're going to just kind of play around with these.
Yeah, we discussed that as I was leaving. I swung by Rick's. I had to get back home yesterday, and didn't get to be part of the tour of Dallas with all those guys. But
yeah, me and Justin and Eric and Peter and one of Peter's buddies from Jersey, we all just spent the day in Dallas yesterday. It was a lot of fun. Went to my bar for brunch. Incidentally, the Cinemark guy that hooked us up came in with his family, and I bought them brunch for helping us out. So that was cool. I got to pay back a favor. We had a good time. Took Justin to some cool bars in Dallas and a couple of cool spots.
Well, we may be doing Aquaman up there. We'll see. Like we said, we'll play it by ear. I really enjoyed. I didn't even, I spent a lot of time in Dallas anyway, so I don't mind making the 3.5 hour drive to get up there anyway. And I really did like I like that theater. It's a good setup where they had us. I do like the Cinemark, or I'm sorry, the Santikos Silverado. We've done several at as well, but we'll mix it around a little bit. We've had several actually. All of them have been at Silverado except for this first one for Wonder Woman. So anyway, and everybody loved the film. And just a heads up.
I loved it so much that I'm not, when you do a review, an official review, which is what happens when I post on Batman on Film, it's a snapshot in time. Ryan, you really phrased this wonderfully. We've talked about this before, that when a critic reviews a film, it's truly a snapshot in time. It's how they feel about the film at that moment. And that can change. Mm-hmm. That can change. Sometimes it swings. Man, you like it a lot better years later. You like it less, right? Mm-hmm. Wonder Woman. If I could go back in time, I'd change my review from an A- to an A+. It's
only gotten better in your mind.
It's got. Listen, that third act doesn't even bother me anymore. It works,
Okay, we're gonna do a whole Wonder Woman show with all three of us and Justin, and but I will say I stand by my A-. I had the same. I loved it. The stuff I loved, I loved more. The stuff that kind of was, I had a slight issue with in the third act. It was still there, but whatever. And my wife and Rick's wife filmed a video, which probably be really funny. Justin's going to put that together. I have no idea what they said, and Justin directed them. So we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. The lovely Marty Shew and announcer Rachel did that. I guess it was appropriate for them to talk about Wonder Woman, big superhero movie with a female lead. All right, so let's move on here. On our last podcast, we paid our respects to Mr. Zack Snyder over his family tragedy, and we did not want to get into any Justice League talk or discussion or news or whatever, because there is a lot of stuff going on with Justice League. Out of respect for Mr. Snyder and his family, but we have to do our job. We do need to talk about the fact that there is a new director on the film. It is Joss Whedon. And with that, I am going to step out of the captain's chair and let the co-pilot take over, and I'm going to be more of a roundtabler with Mr. Haas here. So, Rick, thank you.
Well. So let's talk a little Justice League. We kind of set things on fire a little bit. When did you post that article, Bill? That was last.
It was last week.
Last week, and it was talking about the reshoots.
Friday.
And
was it Friday? Okay.
Yeah, Friday. Okay, and not just reshoots on Justice League, but really truly real reshoots, new scenes,
additional photography.
Thank you.
And it started. It has started.
And
it has started. Yes.
They are doing it as we speak in England right now.
Yes.
So the question is this, and I'm going to pose it to Ryan. Ryan, when you hear that, and I understand, I just want to get that 900-pound gorilla out of the way. He's in the room. He's staring at me. He's licking his chops. I understand, guys. I really do. I know that we have some Twitter wars sometimes and Facebook wars and everything. And look, I understand where people are coming from when they can get frustrated going, who are these guys, Batman on Film, that can report this stuff? I'm not hearing this anywhere else. And, and they have to be full of it or whatever. I don't like that sometimes it gets a little ugly, but that's the internet, right? But let us just say that, Bill has his sources and he vets them, and and when he writes something, he puts his reputation on the line, and his reputation is everything for this site. It's why it's been around for 19 years. It's why he's had the trust of everybody from Chris Nolan to Zack Snyder, I might add, even recently. And so
yes,
we don't put this out there to try to be jerks. Okay. This is stuff that Bill gets and he reports it. And we have never been burned by Bill and his sources. We stand by the site and we stand by these reports, and we're just reporting them because they're just true. Okay. And you're not.
Oh, let me say this. I have gotten a lot better at my job over these 19 years. Not that I have never made mistakes. I don't want to sit there and say that that's not the case, but I have gotten very good at this job. Okay, and that's not tooting my own horn. That's just the fact of the matter. So, sorry, Rick, go ahead.
No, and look, yeah, you have gotten good at this job. You've been great at this job. And all you're doing is just reporting things that you're told. I'll give one example, and then I want to move on because I don't want to get into this whole thing about Twitter and fighting on Twitter. But just remember something, guys. If you don't want to believe us, don't believe us. That's fine, okay? I'm just telling you that what we report is accurate, okay? And when we reported that Ben Affleck wasn't directing the Batman, and people got really worked up about that, and then he went on Jimmy Kimmel and he said that he was going to direct, that was kind of shoved down our throats. Okay, we just kind of took it in stride, and then it was reported that he was not directing. That is what I'm talking about. When Bill has his sources that are vetted and we get things that are put in our lap that we can share. Obviously, we can't reveal sources and all that kind of stuff. Bill can't do that, but it's a responsibility that he has, and by virtue of him we have to report these things. So it is what it is. Okay. So they are right now in England reshooting, much of this film. How much of it's going to fundamentally change? I don't know. I reported a couple weeks ago about a guy that I talked to that saw the film. And it was really important for me to report that because first of all, it was awesome to talk to this guy that's like, listen, you're going to be very impressed. And this person was not necessarily a big fan of Batman versus Superman, did not really like Suicide Squad, but loved Wonder Woman, and said, listen, Justice League is going to blow your mind. It's going to really impress you. And that was great. I put that on Twitter. That was a lot of fun. Then, over the weekend, when Justin was in town, we actually were able to meet up with the guy again, talk to him about the reports that we have gotten, that Bill has given us and everything about the reshoots. And he said, look, I'm not surprised. He said, a lot of what I saw a great deal of the film. We saw a beginning, middle, and end, right? It was a quote unquote complete film, but it was an incomplete film in regards to a lot of the scenes were like storyboards and things of that nature. And so he's like, of course they're going to be doing reshoots. I think it's the best thing for the film. And that right there, that anecdotal one dude is what sort of encapsulates for me my new excitement about all of this, is that if Snyder had this thing at least going in some really good directions, and then Whedon's coming in and he's going to tighten it up, make it better, finish it strong. I mean, look, I don't care if Santa Claus flies down from the North Pole to finish this film. Let's just have a great Justice League film. And talking to this individual that saw it, that loved what he saw, who's also excited about Josh Whedon and reshoots, that to me is just spectacular. Ryan, what do you think?
I mean, in terms of Joss Whedon himself, I think you couldn't find a better person to pick up the baton here to, shepherd the movie through post-production, as the THR article put it. Because he's worked in TV, he's worked on the Avengers movies, obviously. I mean, he's a good director. He's a good writer. And speaking of writing, the THR article also said that he had already been brought on before, earlier in production to help craft these additional scenes that they're shooting to write them. So he's already familiar with the project. He's already been kind of on board. So it just makes sense. And I think he'll do a good job. I think he'll be able to pick up what's been done and complete the film accordingly. And yeah, go ahead.
No, absolutely. No, please go ahead.
Oh, and I was going to say something about just, reshoots, and a lot of semantics are going on with what reshoots and pickups and additional photography is. And
yeah.
And the bottom line is that it is happening and the film is going to get done. I don't think that we need to argue about that. But, my little spiel here is that there's just, from when cameras first started rolling on Justice League there to now, there have been a lot of things going on with the movie. I mean, it's a multi-million-dollar film, multi-million-dollar franchise. It's obviously in Warner Brothers' best interest to make sure the movie's good, especially coming off the heels of Wonder Woman, which is fantastic. But, I start to think about other films and other filmmakers and how that process kind of works. And, when I think about somebody like Martin Scorsese, for instance, he doesn't do director's cuts. What he releases is what you get. Ridley Scott, on the other hand, he's very notorious for director's cuts. He shoots a lot of material to give him the freedom to shape the film in the editing room and even make additional versions, after the fact. But one of my favorite example is like Peter Jackson. Look at what he had to do on the Hobbit movies that he did. Those, from a production side, those were originally going to be 2 movies. And while they were shooting, that got changed and expanded to 3 films. But that put himself into a situation where that left a huge gap in the climax of the second Hobbit film. And that had to be completed by expanding their second film's pickups beyond what they originally anticipated. He had to do the whole climax, basically, of the movie a couple months before that movie came out. And Justice League, it kind of had the opposite. It was 2 movies, and it's down to 1 movie, and the reaction of BVS and so on and so forth. And now we've got Joss Whedon, taking it through post-production. So what all I'm saying is that a lot of this stuff depends on the filmmaker and their process, and the studios needs too. And Justice League has had a lot of this kind of stuff going on, even way beyond any normal movie, all the circumstances, involved. But, the bottom line is that the Hollywood Reporter article even says that, Whedon's there to shoot additional photography and help shepherd it through post-production. And with a film like this that's gone through what it has, it's really disingenuous to think that no part of it can or will be shaped going forward through post-production. Yes.
And also, this all started with, it started last year, but the quote unquote reshoot argument started with a report. It was the Splash Report website saying their source telling them that, basically, I think the contention was by people who were calling BS on it was that, their source said the film, there's been so many changes, there've been some reshoots that the film's been remade a couple times already. The people assumed that this meant after principal photography ended in October. That's not the case. They were changing things as they were filming. They might have filmed something, didn't like it, and changed it, rewrote it, and did it differently. They were making changes on the set to the script as they were shooting. So, yes, it is not a lie. It is factual to say, yeah, it's been changed a couple of times. Could that be a little bit of hyperbole? Yes, absolutely. But the point is, there have been changes made to this film. There were reshoots. They just took place during principal photography. So I know it's a kind of maybe it's an oxymoron to say it's reshoots when they are still shooting, but I think everyone, y'all get what the point to the matter is, that there were changes being made to what they had shot and what they were going to shoot and what they were shooting at the moment. No one's ever reported that I know of. I know Splash Report didn't. I know Batman on Film didn't. Never said that these reshoots took place after October and before now. So that's the clarification on that. So that's all I got in that regard. So
they're happening in real time. Bill, can you talk at all about Joss Whedon's actual presence on this film when he came on board? And you have a timeline at all you can share with us on that?
Early this year. Yes.
Okay.
Early this year. It wasn't in March. Okay. It was early, probably. Be careful here. After they went back to work, after the holiday break, I am somewhere around that time in January.
Yeah. And you can infer that from the THR article as well.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
No, absolutely. Okay, so at the end of the day, what does all this mean? What does all this mean to you, Ryan? Has this changed your expectations at all, for the better, for the worse, indifferent? Where's your head at right now for Justice League?
I mean, Justice League, no way about it, is a juggernaut of a movie. It's part of this giant cinematic universe, and it's not just, one little piece in it. It's like the culmination of everything they've done. So it's obviously a very important film, and Warner Brothers needs to be celebrated for doing the best they can to make sure that the movie is going to be the best that it can in the time that they got. And I think that's happening. So I'm I still got to wait and see. I still got to see the movie when it comes out. But right. That's, they've got this time. They're going to do the reshoots. They're going to do what they can, once all that stuff gets there and fleshed out. I think we'll see then how it turns out.
That's exactly how I feel. I feel like that right now they are working diligently to make the best possible Justice League film they can for us, right? And I feel like that we're in good hands. I've said it before. I don't care who's the director or how much Snyder had or didn't have or Joss Whedon's doing. I don't care. This is what I care about. I saw Wonder Woman again. We talked about the party and everything. Saw it again on Saturday night, and it's such a wonderful film. And I can't wait to see it again, right? And then I think about also, though, I see the Justice League trailer at the beginning of that movie. And I'm watching the trailer, and just me personally, guys, I'm watching it going, man, this does nothing for me. It just doesn't. I'm not feeling it.
There was no reaction in the audience.
There really wasn't, other than my wife rolling her eyes. Okay. I'm being honest. That's my world. That's what happened. My wife looks at that and says, "What is this?" And she loves Batman. She loved Man of Steel, and she really loved Wonder Woman. Batman versus Superman, she did not get. She hated Suicide Squad, and she just scratches her head when she sees Justice League stuff, and that's okay. It's not going to be for everybody. But my point is this, for me personally, is that I'm putting that like out of sight, out of mind, that trailer and everything else. Right now, what I'm focused on is the gentleman that I talked to that saw it, these changes that are taking place, and I'm going, they are smart. They Warner Brothers. And this is a great ensemble, and they're flying high on Wonder Woman. They're not going to let this one slip through their fingers. They're going to get it right. If they got to push it back to March of 2018, I don't care. Just get it right, and let's just all enjoy it. That's it. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, and people will say, okay, you're not a scoop site. Why are you reporting this? Well, that's the whole point is to say, it's not to say Justice League has been a shit show since day one. Or since day zero. Let's be frank. It has been a bit of a shit show. But the point is to show this audience that Warner Brothers is doing everything they possibly can to make this film good. Everything they can. Bringing in Joss Whedon whenever they brought him in. Reshoots, additional photography, on the spot chat, whatever. I take it all, all together. It's being made. They're being done to make the film better. And I applaud them for that. And that is why I'm reporting it, not to say, I'm scooping anybody. I'm saying, look, guys, they're doing whatever it takes. They're doing whatever it takes we know it's been a mess. Well, unless you had your head in the sand, and you want, everything is awesome with the DCEU, but that's a whole different. Don't get me on that tangent, but y'all know what I mean. So, I applaud them. I'm very happy that they're doing this. I want to like this film. I want to, at minimum, like it, and I love it, because I just had a hell of a time watching Wonder Woman. I saw it at the press screening. Saw it with Rick and at our party, and it was fun. And I haven't had fun watching a DC superhero movie since, Man of Steel I like, but really had that much fun since, the Dark Knight trilogy, to be honest. And this, I had just a ball. I loved watching Wonder Woman. It was fun. Well, experience that again.
Wonder Woman, this is where Wonder Woman is for me. And she is, that film is up there for me with Superman the movie. I think I even like Wonder Woman a little better. I mean, that's a hard thing to say, but I go, man, do I like Wonder Woman a little better than Superman the movie? I think it's possible. I think I might. Right? And so, but they're obviously in the same playing field. Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises, Batman 89. She's in that mix for me, that film. That's exciting. That's exciting that a film that's out right now is in that mix. It's been so long since I've been able to say that. It's been since 2012. That excites the hell out of me, right? I want that to continue. We're not always going to just love every DC film, but let's just have some consistency. Let's have some home runs in a row, right? Because you notice that right now, no one's fighting over Wonder Woman, right? No one, right? Everybody's just kind of copacetic, right? Everybody, we're all in love with each other on Twitter until we start talking about Justice League again or whatever. It's just, the fandom is uniting, and I just want to see that continue. And I'm optimistic that they're going to make Justice League work. Is there a possibility? I'm putting this out there as just speculation. Okay, this isn't a source or anything, but is it possible that they would push this film back?
I can't rule that out. I can't rule that out at all.
Yeah.
I think that Rick and Ryan, I think that it would, they don't want to, because let's be honest, it would be a PR nightmare.
Yeah.
To move this film. It would
at this point. This isn't like while the BVS delays. This is like way after. Yeah.
I mean, even if you say, we were doing it to accommodate Joss Whedon and to make the best film possible, it's just not going to most people, except for that small segment of DCEU fandom where everything is awesome. It would be publicity wise, it would not be good. It would not be good. So Rick, thoughts, man? Wouldn't you agree?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be good, but if it's what is required to finish this up properly, then
yes,
I think everybody would want. Listen,
I mean, I think if it happened, they would have either done it by now or do it soon. Sometimes in the past, if films have like moved dates in closer to release, that has happened. And sometimes it just happens. It's either like a few days early or a week or two early. Those kind of shifts actually can happen quite close to release. But a bigger one, like months or something, that kind of stuff should happen soon if it even does.
They've got all this scheduled. It's supposed to be June, July. Now, my guy told me could ease into August. I don't think they want it to ease into August, but it is something that's a possibility. I think once they're done with this additional photography, which is significant, by the way, regardless of how it's spun, frankly, by the studio. I mean, there's a company line, and I completely, I get it. I completely get it.
Let's put emphasis on that a little bit, please. To everybody listening, if you hear to the contrary coming from Warner Brothers or Whedon or even Zack Snyder himself or whoever, of course. And I've had people say, are you calling those people liars? I'm like, no, I'm calling them good businessmen and women. That's what I'm calling them, because they can't say, all right, so everything's kind of been a little screwy, but we're fixing it and we're going to release a good movie. They're never going to say that. You know when you'll hear about stuff like this 10 years later. Mm-hmm. Watch interviews and watch Kurt Russell talk about Tombstone.
Yeah. Or like Suicide Squad, like the week after it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. He didn't wait very long, right? He was kind of out. He put it out there. But Kurt Russell and Tombstone, he reflects back on that. Shawshank Redemption was a complete shit show production-wise, and it turned out to be one of the best frickin' American films ever. So, these things do happen, and they do sometimes often have really good results. Rogue One went through a lot of changes. People reference that, and I think that's fair. I think that's very fair to reference Rogue One. So,
and that's another example of a studio stepping up and being like, hey, let's make this movie good, and let's get it done right.
The best scene in Rogue One, the Vader murder slaughter at the end, was
reshoot.
It was done and with 6 weeks release. They were 6 weeks away from releasing the film. They said, we got to get that scene in. And they filmed it in 2 days.
Yeah, and that's how much a film can change. Right before it comes out.
Well, isn't there a comparison with that also in terms of the director? Didn't they bring someone in to direct a lot of the additional photography for Rogue One?
Yeah, Tony Gilroy, right?
Yeah. I would say like things like Shawshank Redemption and Tombstone are definitely better films to reference when it comes to new directors coming in, right? Or even if they're phantom directors, but you find out years later that the director was kind of showing his hat the last 2 months of filming, right? So regardless of all of that, the bottom line is that you can accuse us of being negative. I don't care. Whatever. What I'm telling you is that this is positive. This is a positive thing. This is a good thing. This is not a bad thing. We're not shitting on the movie because all that matters, guys, at the end of the day, in 10 years, 5 years, when we are reflecting back on these films and we pull Justice League and dust it off and put it in the DVD player or we order it or however we're digesting films 5 years from now, all that matters is that movie, the finished product. When those credits roll, that's it. The process itself, it won't matter anymore. It'll be a distant memory. So at the end of the day, all of this doesn't effing matter as long as that film just ends up being good.
That's a great way to look at it, and that's the way it is. It doesn't. How we get there is not going to matter once we see it. If the damn thing is good, it's just not going to matter.
The audience doesn't care about the journey; they just care about the destination. Better to be a good movie. When I buy my ticket, I'm not watching behind the scenes drama from 6 months ago. I'm watching the damn movie.
Yeah. Okay. Well said. All right.
So any final thoughts, guys? Ryan, any words of wisdom?
Oh, no. I mean, I'm still in wait and see mode, but they're gonna do the best they can to make the film good and get it done, and I'm excited just to see it. I got to see it.
Yep. I would just encourage everybody to just don't look. At the end of the day, like I said, it's all just about the movie. I'm not even going to say what I was going to say.
Okay. Yeah.
We're just gonna wait for the movie, and we're gonna all fingers crossed. And I trust them that they're helping make this a kick-ass movie. Bill, final thoughts?
I have nothing else to add except, I want the film to be good, and I welcome anything that's going to make it better. And I believe this report, my report. What they're doing it's a positive. This is good. This is good to me.
Makes us all happy.
Yeah. And
the word of the day, happy.
Yes. And I don't want to I don't want to, just to sound like some people will take it. I'm not even going to allude to how they may take it, but I'm really, for the first time, I'm excited for this film. I haven't been. I've on the record as saying that.
More than zero interest?
Yes. I have. Yes, I have more than zero interest now. That is the great way to put it. Now, am I? I'll leave it at that. I have more than zero interest. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. Exactly. Yes. And I would. Yeah.
Know when to walk away. Anyway, that's all.
And speaking of happy, I am very happy because before the podcast started, I got a FedEx at the door, and I opened it up, and it is a Blu-ray of the Lego Batman movie, one of my favorite Batman movies of all time. And after I finish the podcast and get it put together and I get my workout in, I am going to watch the Lego Batman movie here in my office, and I'm very excited for that. So I do have a big smile on my face, and I'm looking at the cover right now, and I love that movie. So anyway, and I want to love Justice League when it comes out. Yes, makes me happy.
Any happy thoughts, Ryan?
It made him happy. No, that's it. I mean, we're going plugs.
Yeah,
we're doing
go ahead.
Plugs. So I know announcer Rachel will take us out with Bill's plugs, but Ryan, what do you have going on?
Follow me on Twitter at SMB_Ryan, and follow the other podcasts I'm a part of, the Everyone Loves the Drake, Robin, Tim Drake podcast. You can follow them on Twitter at ELTD Podcast, or you can find them on the BatmanPodcastNetwork.com website. And I actually have a new review up on BOF today. We're doing our collective Batman the Animated Series retrospective series, and I have a review up today of It's Never Too Late. And it's one of the early episodes, but it's pretty good little analysis of it, I think. So check that out.
Good. So
cool.
That is, and Rick is up next.
I've got one I'm assigned to coming up. I need to get on that.
Yep. I have got a location for you to watch it. I'm going to email you.
Perfect. The only thing I want to say is that we have a couple exciting things coming up just on Batman on Film. We're going to do an all exclusive Wonder Woman podcast this weekend. Zaki Hassan is hopefully going to be joining us. I need to verify that. And then we're actually putting together, I plan on 2 more Batman on Film sub-shoot Star Wars podcasts this year. One will be actually for Last Jedi when it comes out. We may actually do 3 with the next trailer, now that I say that. But anyway, we're going to do actually one more in the interim. We thought we'd do an episode, and we're just going to talk about the Star Wars prequels. That should be a lot of fun.
I like the Star Wars shows. So as a listener, I don't participate because I have nothing to offer insightful. Well, like y'all do. So, but go ahead. As a fan, I like listening to them.
I was just going to say, and we thank you very much for letting us do it.
Oh, no problem.
We mean that. And then, I guess that's it. Follow me on Twitter, ShewRick, ShewRick on Facebook, Batman on Film Shew. And then I'll just let announcer Rachel take us out.
All right. Yeah. One thing, Rick, before we go, let's go ahead. Austin, November 18th, Justice League. Watch party.
Justice League watch party. Get your tickets, book your hotel, and what we were thinking about doing, guys, on this one, Bill and I talked about.
Yes, great idea, Rick.
Is to actually do the screening a little early, like around 4 or 5 o'clock. And that way, we get out of a movie 7:30, 8, and guess what? Bill's not going to go turn into a pumpkin, right?
Right.
He'll actually.
Exactly.
My wife says that.
So we're going to go out and hit some nightlife in Austin. I'll take everybody over to Rainy Street. We'll walk up and down those bars. It's a fun town. So come. If you missed the Dallas one, that's fine. Come to the Austin show, and we're going to all be celebrating Justice League because damn it, it's going to be good.
That's right.
That's right.
All right. Now, go ahead, Rick. All
right. Now we're just going to have announcer Rachel take us out.
Hey now! You've been listening to the Batman on Film podcast, a proud member and the sponsor of the Batman Podcast Network, BatmanPodcastNetwork.com. You can listen to the BOF podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, TuneIn, and wherever good podcasts like this one can be found. Want to advertise on the BOF podcast? Go to advertisecast.com/the Batman on Film Con podcast. Follow Jett on Twitter at Batman on Film and on BOF's Facebook fan page at facebook.com/Jett.BatmanOnFilm. Email Jett via Jett@batman-on-film.com. Follow Rick on Twitter at ShewRick and on Facebook at facebook.com/BOF-Shew. For Jett, Rick, Justin, and Ryan, I'm announcer Rachel. Thanks for listening.